It is such a thrill to be able to talk to so many of you at this extraordinary summit. And I particularly like the name of this slot, Get Changed, because getting changed lies at the heart of any performance, either literally changing into a costume or kit of some kind, or changing your energetic state so that you can perform at your best. And that's what we coach people to do. We coach people from different walks of life to enable them to be their best when it matters most. And preparing is a key ingredient, especially preparing themselves. Right now, many of the people we coach are doing their best to lead their businesses, their families, and ultimately themselves through increased uncertainty and pressure. And to do any of these things, they have to start with preparing themselves, which means creating their own state practice or routine. Today, I want to share with you some of the practices that they find most useful. Over the years, we've successfully worked with CEOs, founders, and high performers from all walks of life. We've seen the power of these practices in people running large and small businesses, in teachers and students, in Olympic gold medalists, in elite military, famous actors, even for people coping better in prison. So I hope by the end of this session, you'll have a few practical tips to prepare yourself so that you can show up at your best when it matters most. So let's get changed. I'm going to run through each one of these practices as if we were all together in one room. So wherever you are, feel free to stand up or just have a go, because that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So before we start, there's a principle here that I want to land. For us to be at our best in any moment that matters, it's vital that we can manage that moment. There's a natural feeling of pressure that happens in a moment that matters. And for it to be a positive pressure that allows us to be at our best, it's vital to have a pressure practice embedded. We have to practice it outside of pressure so that when we're in pressure, we can recall it really easily. So that's what we're going to do now. Practice number 1 is body. This is where it starts. So I'd just like you to, wherever you are, to notice what your body position is right now and how much energy it's giving you. Notice it, and then I'd like you to shift one thing about your body posture that gives you a little bit more energy for the day ahead. Do that now. Okay, notice what you've done. I want to share a few things that people tend to do in order to up their performance energy. They either connect with the floor and put both feet firmly on it. They might stand up if they've been sitting down. They may concentrate on pulling back their shoulders. So for example, imagining that you've got a coat hanger still in your top. Or they might even just smile. A smile is hugely underrated and it gives us a mood-enhancing feeling. And any runner listening to this, you'll know that Kipchoge doesn't feel happy at the very end of his marathon. He's trained himself to smile for the last 5 kilometres because he knows the influence his body can have over his state of mind and his ability to feel that he can actually go on longer. So practice number 1 is to deliberately choose your body position. So you now have a body posture that might impact your energy in a little way. And I would advise you to keep playing with that idea of what you can do with your body first, because you impact through your physiology first. And we're going to continue with that idea of physiology and we're going to go to our breath. So practice number 2 is breath. Now I'm sure many of you know the power of your breath if you play a musical instrument or sing or do yoga or play sport. It's a hugely underestimated, useful resource that costs us nothing. So we need to really focus on it when we want to be at our very best. I'd like you for now just to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest and just carry on breathing as you normally do. And notice which hand is moving more as you do that. Ideally, your belly hand should be moving more because what we're trying to do here is to get our breath down into our belly, to have the impact on our body that we really want. So I'm going to offer you a simple technique that many people who we work with find incredibly useful to just calm the mind. And that's a technique of a breath in through your nose to the count of 3 and then slowly out through your mouth to a count of 7. So I'm going to do that with you now and I'm going to click the beats with my fingers. So let's have a go now. Notice the impact as we do this. So both hands on your belly and focus on an inhalation through your nose. Let's go. And then a slow exhalation out of your mouth to the count of 7. Here goes. and notice what you're feeling as you do that. There's a wonderful pause at the end of the exhalation that just grounds us. And I encourage you to think about what your breathing technique might be to enable you to calm your mind. We breathe to slow down our mind, and when we exhale, we regulate our body. It's the exhalation that's really important, the slow exhalation. And you can do that very obviously, like we've just done now, but you can also do it in a moment when you're with other people, and they don't even need to know that you're doing it. So far we've done 2 practices, our body and now our breath. Practice number 3, self-talk for energy. And for those who feel that they don't have a self-talk or don't have an inner voice, it's the one telling you that. So let's have a look at how we can increase our energy through our self-talk. I'd like you to recall now a recent proud achievement. How easy was that for you? I imagine if I'd asked you to think of a recent moment where you'd messed up, it might well have come up to you more easily. Being able to recall your proud achievements is a practice. There's a very interesting piece of research where students were asked to recall a proud moment before they took an exam. And when they did that, they had an improvement in their results of 10 points in terms of IQ, all because they'd recalled a proud moment. So this is an incredibly important practice and one that we have to know outside of the pressure. So know what your self-talk's going to be when you need it most. There are 3 ways of thinking about your energy self-talk. There's self-talk for confidence, self-talk for ambition, and then self-talk to boost your purpose. So just to share a few examples, a self-talk for confidence might be, I've managed difficult times like this before, or I got an excellent result in this 3 months ago. A self-talk for ambition might be, I will go to university or college, or I will get that job. At the moment, a very helpful self-talk for many people that we're working with is, I'm going to take more from this situation than it's going to take from me. All of that self-talk is about ambition. A self-talk for purpose might be, I'm doing this for my mum or my family, or I'm doing this for a cause that really matters to me. All of these are options for you to have a self-talk that can instantly boost your energy. And when we have more energy, we're much more likely to get into action faster. So now we have a practice for body, a practice for breath, and a self-talk practice to boost our energy. The 4th and final practice is self-talk for action. This is when you focus on one small step that takes you forward. Because what often happens in pressure or in uncertainty, our self-talk becomes backward focused. I don't want to do this, or I'm worried about doing that, or I mustn't do it. So my encouragement is to think about a self-talk that is forward focused and active. So for example, last year we did a project with some Year 11s, helping them have a practice so that they can perform better in the pressure of exams. And one of their very popular action self-talks when they're in the last 5 minutes of the exam was not, oh my God, I've only got 5 minutes, but instead focus on the question. They decided on it and practiced it out of pressure so they'd be prepared for that last 5 minutes. It's helping yourself in those moments of pressure to remain focused on what you actually want to do. And often that means taking it to the smallest action that you can take to make progress. So for me, when I was writing the book, I practiced waking up every morning and saying, I'm going to write 1 sentence. Much more useful to say that than to say, I'm going to write a chapter or 2 chapters. So self-talk for action is focusing on a small incremental action that you can take, having boosted, of course, your energy first. Right now, in this current situation, a common action self-talk is about looking after yourself. So many people we're working with are depleted either in their, say, sleep, hydration, their exercise, or in what they're eating. And we call that their shed. Sleep, hydration, exercise, diet. So often it's the smallest action. You might be go and get a glass of water or just take a break. Stand up, go for a walk, have a healthy snack. Something that's small but very actionable. Self-talk for action allows us to feel on the front foot and really, really feel prepared. Now, I just want to share how I wrapped up these 4 practices in a way that was very helpful for me last year when I was trekking in Nepal to raise money to build a school. Sometimes the climb was incredibly difficult, and sometimes I was very close to losing, the will to continue. So I made myself a little practice outside of pressure so that when I hit those moments, I could apply it. And it went like this. For body, it was look up and open my shoulders. It was very easy for me to hunch up and get tense on that climb. So look up and open your shoulders, Sara, was helpful. Secondly, it was a slow, steady exhale. So rather than hold the tension in my shoulders, I just focused on a slow, steady exhale. The self-talk for energy was, I will complete this climb for the school. And my self-talk for action was slow, steady steps. Slow, steady steps. And that's how I helped myself to perform at my best so that I could achieve what I wanted to achieve. So there we have it, 4 practices: body, breath, self-talk for energy, and self-talk for action. So there we go. Hope that's been useful. Experiment with them and see what works for you. Remember, to be your best in any pressure, your routine needs to be practiced outside of pressure. Enjoy becoming more deliberate about preparing yourself for the situations that really matter to you. Like this one. Have a great 3 days.